Hello again. I wanted to make another vlog. I was going to do one again about anxiety and depression, but I'll probably film that afterwards. But this vlog's going to be about post-traumatic stress disorder, which is PTSD. I know I said that the wrong way around. I should have said PTSD is post-traumatic stress disorder, but you know what I mean. Basically, post-traumatic stress disorder, what I'll do is I'll kind of give you a brief of what it is, and then I'll talk about the symptoms and therapy and treatment that can help with PTSD and my own personal experience of it. I got diagnosed with it, I think, in 2015 or the start of 2016. I'm not quite sure. Post-traumatic stress disorder is an anxiety disorder which normally comes on, not everyone will get it, but it normally comes on after such things like violent assaults, or if you've been in a robbery, like car accidents, military combat, bullying, violent assaults, anything to do with being assaulted, sexual abuse, rape. These are all things that can trigger post-traumatic stress disorder. The main kind of symptoms are like flashbacks, nightmares, or you just keep repeating the scene over and over again in your head. You can't get that feeling out of your head of what happened, and you just keep thinking over and over and over again. I also found like you kind of wondered why it happened to you. You'd start thinking, why did this happen to me? If I'd been in a different place at a different time, or they try and they start questioning themselves, if I'd done something different, this wouldn't have happened. And then you start feeling like guilt or shame, and you can start getting those kind of feelings. You can also get anxiety from having post-traumatic stress disorder. You can, when you have flashbacks, it can make you nauseous, you can be trembling, you can become sweaty, you can just generally feel very anxious and on edge with everything. Another thing is you can become quite irritable as well. I noticed this for me. You can have anger outbursts, sleeping problems, difficulty concentrating, and it's like it's because you keep replaying it over and over again, and some small thing can trigger it. It could just be, you might avoid going to the place it happened. If like say if an assault happened, or if anything like that, and you're outside, and you'd kind of avoid going to that place, because obviously going back there would bring back memories. Obviously it's different with everyone's PTSD. I'm kind of talking about my own personal experience with it. It was more, I avoided going to these places where the attack happened, because obviously when I went there I would just panic. I would get very anxious. I'd have all these horrible flashbacks, and it was awful, that feeling. And I still get the flashbacks now, and I still think to myself, if I hadn't been here, if I hadn't have gone out that day, this wouldn't have happened. I start feeling guilty and shameful, like why did I do this? If I had done something else, this wouldn't have happened to me. So it can cause it can then start causing other problems, like some people start self-harming, or they start using drugs. You can get anxiety, depression, phobias, anything like that. It would all be triggered from this one event, and the post-traumatic stress disorder would kind of then trigger off all these other illnesses. Treatment for post-traumatic stress disorder is normally like psychotherapy or CBT. There is another one which is called EMDR, which I was going to have, but when my anxiety got so bad and I stopped kind of going out, I never went to the therapy, which is, so it's called EMDR, which is eye movement desensitization and reprocessing, which kind of involves making side-to-side eye movements. So normally your therapist would have her finger and she'd be doing this, and while you're kind of recalling all the traumatic things or the traumatic incident that happened, and then I think they like replace the thought with them doing this. I'm not too sure. I think that's how it works. But yeah, so it is a treatable condition, but it's obviously very difficult because you will probably have to relive what happened. So it is very distressing to go to therapy for it. But I definitely think therapy is a very good way to go about getting help with post-traumatic stress disorder. I know everyone's different. Some people will kind of gradually get better over time goes on, or you know, they would have to have therapy, or they might have to go on medication. For me personally, what happened was I briefly explained on the last video. I got randomly assaulted outside. I was going to my favourite coffee shop, which is Costa, which I did pretty much every day. You know, it was my one place I'd go and I'd feel safe, and I'd get a Costa and I'd have a cigarette. And I was walking up there, and I remember I was taking this thing back to Curry's Digital, which was this like internet dongle, and it didn't work. So I was like, oh, you know, and I got that already. And I remember that day it was like pouring down with rain, and it was just a really horrible day. And I was walking up there. Luckily I have my friend with me, and my friend's very protective. She's my best friend, and she's very protective over me. And we're walking up to the shopping centre, and I was stood waiting to cross the road, and there was loads of people this side of the road and that side. It was only a small road. It was like a car park, and there was loads of people either side of the road. And this homeless woman looked at me, and she pointed at me, and she just screamed, "You!" And I just didn't think much of it, you know. I thought she was just joking around. And as soon as the car went past, she came running at me, and she palmed me straight in the nose, and I fell on the floor, and she was just shouting all this abuse at me. And I literally stood up. My friend luckily grabbed this woman and held her back and was like, "What are you doing?" And I was shouting, saying, I don't know who you are, you know, and I don't know why, but I apologised. I was like, "I don't know who you are," and she started saying all these things about being gay and something about she just started going, and it made no sense, and she started calling my friend the devil. And I then kind of realised that maybe she was struggling with, you know, mental health problems or drug abuse. I'm not too sure. I eventually found out that she was a very heavy drug user, and obviously it's made her think these things. So yeah, she came running at me, palmed me in the face. My nose was pouring with blood. I had like a cut on my nose as well, and I remember just going, "Oh, you've got the wrong person, I don't know who you are." So I ran off to the shopping centre and rang 999 and basically said someone's just randomly assaulted me and I don't know why. So the police stayed on the phone with me, and they went and caught her. And there was so many people, and this is one thing that really does play on my mind a lot. There was so many people around, and not one person, you know, my nose was pouring with blood. I was like crying on the phone to 999, and there was so many people around. I know people don't want to get involved, I understand that, but not one person asked if I was okay. Everyone just stood staring at me, and I was crying my eyes out. I was in an awful state about what had just happened. My friend had run after this woman, you know, and then to make sure that the police picked her up, and I was just gobsmacked. And I remember sitting down at Costa, and my friend ran in and said, you know, "I need a glass of water, my friend's just been attacked." I remember then just feeling very dizzy, very sick, you know, I was very shaken up. And it was ever since then, you know, gradually, it wasn't, my post-traumatic stress kind of gradually came on. Like, the first few weeks I just kind of avoided kind of going out on my own, but I would still go out with friends. And then eventually I started feeling very angry, very hostile. I stopped, you know, going to Costa. I didn't want to kind of engage with people. I started feeling very irritable, and I started getting these flashbacks. And they would just come out of nowhere. I would just literally have a flashback of the event that happened, and I would just burst into tears. It did go to court, but there was not enough evidence apparently that she attacked me, even though there was 2 eyewitnesses and myself, and there was proof because I went to the police station and they took pictures of my nose. They also knew of the woman and said that this isn't the first time she's done this to someone. But they found her not guilty, so she got let off. And yeah, and then I was left to struggle with, obviously, how it made me feel, and that's how my post-traumatic stress disorder came on. Like I said, I haven't had any therapy for it. I was going to have the EMDR, but I never managed to get to it. Maybe in the future, you know, when I've kind of overcome the agoraphobia and the anxiety, that's something I will look into, because it still does get to me now. I start thinking, if that hadn't happened, my anxiety wouldn't have come on, because I think that's what set my anxiety and panic attacks off, because I started to avoid going out, and the more I avoided it, the more comfortable I was in my safe place, which was my home. I actually moved where I was living then, because I was living quite near where the event happened, but last year I got moved and I'm far away from that place now, so, which is good. That was a good step, but obviously the damage had already been done, and I now struggle to go out, and you know, it's become more of a social phobia. So I definitely feel like if you are struggling with post-traumatic stress disorder, definitely seek help and definitely stick to it. I think that's a lot of people's problem. Sometimes they go to one session and they're like, I can't do this, which is, I understand that, and it's understandable. It's very scary to relive things, but you need to stick to your therapy to then get progress with any kind of mental health problem. You know, you need to stick to your therapy, as hard as it is. You know, you might, when you go to therapy, you might leave feeling even worse. You know, I'm not going to say you're going to feel 10 times better as soon as you walk out, because you're probably not. But gradually, as you keep going, it becomes easier, and it becomes natural to you to go to therapy and have these sessions. Also medication, if you use medication that your doctor's prescribed, you know, that's another step as well that you could take. Some people are against medication, but definitely seek help if you are suffering from post-traumatic stress disorder, or you think you're having symptoms of PTSD. Definitely go and see your doctor, because it is difficult. For me, the most difficult thing was the anger outbursts. I became very, very angry, which wasn't like me. Like, I used to sometimes get angry, but my anger got a lot worse, and it scared me, because I was never like that before, you know, and I've become very hostile and just very against the world. I'm not angry anymore. Like, I don't have any anger outbursts anymore like before I did, but they've kind of died down now, which is really good. But yeah, so I hope this video is informative. I'm sorry that I don't have much information about it. I just wanted to kind of go on my personal experience and basically say, you know, if you are struggling, definitely try and seek help. I know sometimes help can be hard to get. Like here in the UK, we have the NHS. I'm not going to go into detail about my experiences with them on this video, because it will take too long, but I've had quite a bad experience with the NHS personally, but that doesn't mean everyone else has. Like, I know people who've had really good experiences, so it just varies from person to person. So I hope this has been helpful and you've enjoyed watching it. If you like my videos, please subscribe or put a like or a comment, and feel free to talk to me as well. I'm always open to talk to people. And yeah, so I hope this helped, and I'll see you in the next vlog. Bye.